I think Remco should do the Giro Tour double, and I
Okay.
think Landa should do the Tour of Vuelta double. That makes
I
the
agree.
most sense to me. You have to forget history, look at the best parkour possible for the riders, and Remco has to do the Tour, right? He has to do the Tour de France, but realistically, right now, he is, at best, the third favourite.
Yeah.
At best, for the Tour. Pogačar, Vingegaard are clear.
And if you
So,
look at the Giro parkour, then you look at a parkour that is one where I'm like, Remco, this is a parkour where you can do really well. The time trials are there. The mountain stages are not explosive
they're nerfed.
for mountain stages. They're B-Tech mountain stages because the Giro is now scared of having a high mountain in their races.
Yep.
Which is understandable somehow. But that does, to me, shout GC Remco at the Giro. But then the question is, I'm going to throw this back to you, send him for GC or stages to the Tour. And I kind of feel like GC try, backup stages.
Yeah, I think you go with GC with there's always gonna be pressure. That's the nature of things. But you go to the Tour, after the Giro, and if you've done well at the Giro, then there's less pressure because you just did well at the Giro. Yep. If you had a problem at the Giro, well, now you can sort of resurrect your season, and also just to get a feel for the race. And he's still young, but it is time to do the Tour de France and get amongst it and see how far he can go. That's what Pidcock's been doing. Now, I think Pidcock should have been doing some other World Tour stage races, but Pidcock did it in 2022, did it in 2023. 22, he won the stage. 23, he stayed really close in GC for quite a while, for 2 weeks. That's still a part of his development. So yeah, Remco has to do the Tour, but especially if it looks like Pogačar's, the murmurings have been he's not doing the Giro. Especially if Pogačar doesn't do the Giro, I think Remco doing it's a no-brainer. Because then you just, smash the TTs, and then you got to beat G, I think.
Yep.
And defend against... Yeah. So it's... And then Landa at the Vuelta, he's obviously Spanish, suits him. And then you have Landa and Remco at the Tour. You go in both as... try and defend your GC positions. Okay, if one guy falls out completely, then he has to help the other. If they're really up there in GC, or they go for stages.
How does Ilan van Wilder feel about Landa joining and taking away the other Grand Tours? If he had to join himself?
Well, because Van Wilder said he didn't want to be a Dom for Remco all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The thing is, I don't see what's like. I expect Van Wilder to maybe have leadership in a 1 week race every now and then, like, I don't know, just scamping it out there to the Swiss or something. But I also feel like 1 day races is something I'm looking forward to when it comes to Van Wilder after Trevale Varesine. I don't see him at the level where he can announce, I want co-leadership at a Grand Tour at all yet. So it's kind of like, what do you see him then? Because then a Giro Tour as well?
No, not for Van Wilder.
That's too much, eh?
No. I would probably get him to... if I was Remco, I would skip the Ardennes, altitude for Giro, and I would send Van Wilder and Alaphilippe to the Ardennes. He's won Liège twice, so, it'd be nice to defend it, but
I expect Remco to be at LBL. Remco will ride LBL as... He won it twice in a row, he's going to want to be there. I think as a defending your throne kind of way.
Okay, but how about winning the Giro?
I think that's a very good idea, personally. But I think he's going to want to ride LBL anyway.
You know who was Quickstep's third highest point scorer? Van Wilder.
God. Van Wilder probably, because otherwise you probably wouldn't ask.
But yeah, I think if he goes to the Tour, Van Wilder, with Landa and Remco there, well, then it's clear. I'm sorry, you're a domestique. If you want to go to the Tour, you're a pure domestique. You can go for the experience, whatever, but domestique. Vuelta, it's a bit... Vuelta, whatever, go with... Like, Landa doesn't also deserve someone, and he didn't have it in Bahrain either. Bahrain used to go into Grand Tours with Jack, Landa, Gino, Buitrago, Caruso, Bilbao, and legit, it'd be like, all right, boys,
Hey,
good luck.
wait. And Arashiro doing leadouts for everyone.
Arashiro actually really good. He extended.
Yeah.
Anyway, also his bike looks sick. The national champ Merida. Anyway, bizarrely, it worked at Bahrain because the team was so transparent about it, and also never really asked a rider to sacrifice their own position for another rider. The rider sort of would just do it themselves if they want. Like if Jack or Caruso, like look at Caruso in the Vuelta, he was nowhere in GC. He's like, I'll pull for you guys, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think you just tell Landa, sorry, Van Wilder's coming. You guys just go for your own GC. I don't think that'd be a problem. Do you think Remco though? What do you expect from him at the Tour de France? He's going. He just went. He did a Strava. Oh no, he didn't do a Strava ride. He did a ride that he put on Strava with Le Grand Boucle in Italy, doing the reconnaissance of the opening Grand Depart.
Yeah.
What do you expect from him if he does the Tour?
I find it hard to see him beat the big boys. I think that's a pretty obvious statement, a pretty no shit Sherlock statement. I just feel like he hasn't proven it to me that he can beat the top guns there. Like I'm thinking he can get 5th or 4th in GC if he focus all out on the Tour de France. But he's also not the most, what do you call this, non-crash prone rider. He is pretty what is crash prone? Is that bad against crash or good against crash?
Crash prone means you're, Roglic or
okay.
Or
he's
Remco.
Pretty crash prone, which I find dangerous to predict someone going for GC every single time. Then, like, I don't expect the highest 2 steps. I don't expect the Tour de France podium. I think he can win the Giro.
You don't expect Tour de France podium?
No.
And you also seem to think, unlike what you think that he'll do Liège, then altitude, a good prep for the Tour, and you don't think Tour de France podium?
I don't think Tour de France podium.
He seems to get, I think, stressed before the big stages.
I don't know.
So like the gravel stage, that's a lot of stress for everybody.
Yeah.
And you look at Jumbo in the cobble stage in 2022, they were like clinical, right? Clinical in all this 4 stages before. Like Van Aert just taking, riding away from everybody, doing everything right. And then all of a sudden that stage, and it wasn't just the musical chairs bikes.
That was amazing.
From neutral, something was off.
Yeah.
The whole day. And so how do they manage that stress? And then you got the mountains afterwards. But we saw in the Giro 2021 that, the gravel stage with him and Almeida was a bit of a disaster. That could have been a feeding. And you already said in his interview with us that he didn't do the right prep for that race and he should have never been there. We all know that. But
I feel like for me to believe in a Tour de France podium, Remco needs to be competitive against Vingegaard or Pogacar or Roglic to be able to beat them in a 1-week race leading up to that.
I think he can do that, though.
Well, Roglic, I agree. But Pogacar and Vingegaard, I don't see unless they're
he can beat them in Paris-Nice.
Well, Jonas at Paris-Nice is like that guy we saw in the restaurant in Antwerp.
Yeah, because his TT is killer. But I agree. I think he should do Paris-Nice or Tirreno. Probably some guys will do Tirreno because of the recons, and then he should do traditional prep. If he's not going to do the Giro, like I said, then he should, make his Tour de France prep as good as possible. But I think that the podium is possible. I really do. Like, first of all, there could be a problem with one or both of the big guys, too. Then, okay, Adam Yates, he's pretty lethal, but UAE might even send him to win the Giro. And then, but it's untested. And you're right, Benji, you want to see it in 1-week races. But so you, nailing it down, you're in charge. Oh, yeah?
I want to say I would love a fight between Adam Yates and Remco at the Giro. One guy that is, Adam Yates is, in my opinion, on certain mountains, a better climber, while the time trial of Remco will hit Adam Yates. Because, I find, Adam Yates at UAE Tour is very different, of course. Because we always know Adam Yates is going to win on Jebel Hafid when he arrives there.
Adam Yates was better in the UAE Tour. He lost time in the crosswinds.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's also part of racing.
Is it weird to say that I trust Adam Yates more for GC in the Giro than Remco? As in, outside of the time
I don't think
trials?
it's weird at all, because I think Adam Yates is the third best or fourth best GC contender in the world.
Yeah.
So he came third in the Tour as a domestique. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's that weird a statement. I think he can also fall through the ice too. But I think it'd be a really intriguing battle. But I think, yeah, Giro Tour makes the most sense to me, particularly with Landa coming in, and then Landa is...
Hey, we've had a pirate ship next to the coast. A pirate ship including Tim Merlier, the new pirate.
Yeah, he's throwing his hat in the ring.
Yeah, he stated that he wants to have a conversation with Lefebvre to ride the Tour de France. Boom.
And you know, he's 100% right.
I agree.
He is 100% right. So, first of all, we already said, we had this conversation this year. It takes pressure off Remco if there's a guy who can also get wins in the team.
Yep.
Secondly, most importantly, in break formation, flat break, I haven't looked at... I have looked, but I can't remember exactly how many of the medium mountain stages, breakaway stages, or high mountain stages start with a flat start. Sprinters are really, really good at managing break formation on flat starts, because you know what it requires? A lot of bursts, racecraft, reading the race, making quick split-second decisions. I think sprinters are really, really good at that. Laporte is particularly good at it. So
Olaf Koy to Tour de France next year.
Well, no. I mean, I don't know about that.
No, but I agree, and it's also Jakobsen's leaving. Is this the first time where we have Quick-Step where there's only like one all-out sprinter out there? Because there's always been two top sprinters in the team, eh? I feel
two top guys and then a neo pro.
Yeah. Now it feels like it's one top guy and neo pros. Like,
so
that's
then there's the argument: why not send him to the Giro? If Remco's not going to do the Giro, which I think he probably won't, and you're sending Van Wilder to the Giro or whatever, then don't you say, hey Tim, the Giro's right there for you, and it's got plenty of sprint stages too.
It's an option.
My argument is that I think Merlier makes their tour team better. If he's motivated, in good shape, get the weight down a little bit, climb, I think he can be really useful on the gravel stage. Really useful. And he might he said himself he wants to do that. He said, me and Bert can be... Van Leeuwenberger, he was hyping up too much. I was like, let's settle down a bit. He's about Van Leeuwenberger like he was Van Hooydonk Regen. But I think... And Asgreen, I'm not sure how much he wants to do that.
I don't know. I feel like Asgreen will be willing to do that. I've been very tunnel visioned on the Giro Tour double, but let's say for a scenario now that Remco does the Tour and not the Giro, then I would understand why they sent Merlier to the Giro. That would seem like an obvious... I think that's a reasonable
compromise.
I agree, but I don't know if I find the Tour de France GC much more riskier than the Giro one for Remco. But it's kind of a discussion we've had in the past, eh?
You don't want to put all your chip, like, it's good to have a backup plan. It's, okay, say something happens with GC, maybe even if luck outside your control, it's really nice at least to then say to the sponsors, hey, we still won 2 stages though. It's more than most teams. We won 2 stages.
Is Remco certain enough to podium that he deserves a full team behind him at the Tour de France? As in, obviously he's not Gaudu, but he's also not the obvious third at the Tour de France yet for me.
It's really tricky in that, how do you manage the sprint run-ins with Merlier? That's the problem with sprinters. It's really tricky.
Remco lead out?
Like,
no.
Yeah, Because then if Millier's like, oh, I also want two guys I want Asgren and guys to set me up after 3Ks to go. So, well,
Yeah.
no, we need them pulling Remco to 3Ks to go. So that's where it gets really, really tricky. Where
Agree.
he's like, of course, most sprinters are happy to work for the GC guy on stages which don't suit them at all, where they're going to get dropped halfway through or a breakaway is going to win. But then when you say to them, yeah, but also on the sprint stages, you have zero lead out, then they're like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, well,
I see that.
You're not the primary focus here. So it's tricky.
Yeah, and like
I think Giro.
Giro feels likely indeed.
If Remco doesn't do it. If Remco does the Giro, then Merlier to the Tour with good preparation.
Yeah. I would tend to agree there. It's a very stacked program for Remco to do. Ardennes Giro Tour.
Well, I carved out the Ardennes.
Yeah.
After Tour of Flanders, he goes to altitude to do the Giro in my program.
Doing Tour of Flanders, you confirmed it? It's happening?
I just said why not? He's won Liège.
Yeah.
Winning Tour of Flanders would be bigger than winning Liège the third time.
I agree. I would like to see him go to RVV, but I think they were doubting between RVV and MSR or something is what I read at some point. I don't see him MSRing. Sorry, I don't see it.
Yeah, I think Tour of Flanders, he could be really, really good. Really, I think that race suits him really well.
It's also earlier than LBL, which would also leave more space to do stuff like you mentioned. So I get that. I just feel like he might want to do LBL just for the sakes of defending. But hey, guess we'll find out